Bob, you wish us in prayer?
Let's pray. Father, we thank you for all that you do for us. We all that you allow us to have and enjoy, Lord. We pray, Lord, that you might be in our minds at all times when we try to do the work of the county here. And Lord, do it in your will, in your way. Forgive us where we fail, Lord, and pray for those that are bereaved and those that are sick in our community. Go with us and pray that all we do will be in effort to be in keeping with thy will. We ask these things in our precious Son's name. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's call a meeting to order. Have a motion to approve the claims.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Have a motion to approve the minutes.
Motion.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right. Mr. Jimmy.
Thank you, gentlemen. First thing, what I asked y'all to sign as y'all come in today, is we're working on our hazard mitigation plan update. It was last done in 2014, and we're doing it regionally. Has to be updated every 5 years. And right now, that's what we're working on. Y'all's input, signatures, is money we can use for in-kind services. And that will, our part of the grant money, it'll drop the price down where we have to pay to even nothing if it comes in. We're doing it as a region. NACOG is heading this up, and Colbert, Franklin, Marion, and Whiston was the original ones. This time, Lamar County and Lawrence County is also coming on board because this is what state and FEMA wants us to do in regional plans. They give us grant money to do it this way, but we have to match it, and that we don't get the money. NACOG gets the money for putting this all together. What I'm coming to y'all for is if y'all have anything updated, I'm gonna leave a copy of the book of the CD with Brooke. She has a copy already. Have any questions, come to me and I'll be glad to answer them. But what we've done, it is not just us, it's other counties and other cities have come in and tried to think of everything that we can think of. An example, and one thing we've learned from in the past, instead of saying we have flooding at Guthrie Cut Road or County Road such and such, we say we have rural flooding. That covers all the outside and urban road. And the only thing we can think of to add to this plan this year, other than updating the commissioners, the mayors, and the councilmen, and the weather, we have to update the weather, all that's happened in the last 5 years, is something I would like to put in there, a weather warning system, a calling type thing for your older people where, there's systems like Rapid Cast, who uses it, Code Red, where if anything comes out, it'll make a phone call and call somebody, tell them that we're under a tornado warning or something like that. Right now, and I tried to get this to go in this HMGP money from this time, they wouldn't do it, but I want to put it in our plan so if it ever comes available, we can apply for that money. If it's not in this plan, they're not going to pay for it. And what this does is when we have a disaster, something happens, we have to say, yes, we're in here, this is what we've looked at, what we need, so we can get money from FEMA. There's all kinds of I's to be dotted and T's to be crossed, and this is just making sure that it's done that way.
Have you ever run a cost estimate on something like that? That'll give you some idea of what kind of money you're talking.
On the grant itself?
On for implementing this phone system.
Well, I've looked at them, and it's anywhere between $4,500 to $25,000 per year.
Also, if yearly, I know we've talked about this.
And that's why they keep it out right now, is because it's an annual fee and not a one-time fee.
Well, like when you got it set up, it'd be in place.
Yes, sir. But that's how the companies get
Yeah,
their
I
money,
understand.
is the annual fee. Second thing is, gentlemen, we're having a drug and awareness class. It's for you and your supervisors. What this is, it goes with our safety stuff from the state, and it also goes with our policy and procedure manual, 1 hour training each year. Miss Elizabeth Foster from the regional ADPH, Alabama Department of Public Health, will be teaching this class next Tuesday at 2 p.m. in the EOC. If y'all would like to come, or if you'd like to send your supervisor, what this class will do is help you recognize, make you aware of the signs and symptoms of employees whose alcohol or drug abuse. And it's for anybody, any supervisor, not any employee, but any supervisor.
What time did you say, Jim?
It's at 2 o'clock.
That's the 24th.
Yes, sir.
And we're at?
It's at the EOC down there in the jail, right there at my office. If y'all would, before between now and then, let me know how many's coming so I need to get the room set up and have everything ready so when you walk in, we can start the class and not have to shuffle around all day.
It'll just be me coming from mine.
Okay, all right. Thank you, gentlemen. And one other thing, I kind of got my feelings hurt. Got a quote on storm shelter, a 10 by 24, like the one we've had at the two-way shop. Them things have went up drastically. $22,000. That's gonna put this HMGP grant, I was gonna ask y'all where y'all wanted it at. I need to come back and ask you if y'all want me to pursue this. We've got $37,000 in this 75-25 grant. Like I said, we'd have to pay the whole thing up front, but we can only get up to $37,204.79. The estimate of the quote that I got on a 10 by 24 shelter is $65,000. I know when it's bid out, that's going to be a little bit cheaper, but I've talked to other EMA around that's doing the same thing. They're also getting quotes from others, and this price is pretty much, and I asked them, I said, how come? I told them, we got a quote in 2016 of $43,000. When it was bid out, it was $49,000. They said, we won't touch that no more, it's going up that much. So this grant is going to start looking like a 50-50 as far as total price. I'm asking y'all, do y'all want me to pursue this?
And me and you talked about this yesterday, the 60-something don't include installation neither, does it?
Yes, the $65,000 does include the installation, but that doesn't include getting the land ready if the land is already purchased and everything. That's just them come out and pour their concrete and attach the storm shelter to it. That's it. That's all. You still got to get the land ready. You got to own the land. You got to, and after they've done that, you still got to hook a gas line to the generator and the power to the building. So.
The cost doesn't excess of $30,000.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's what I presume. Yes, sir.
Be closer to 50-50.
Yes, sir.
And Jimmy had talked to the mayor at Brilliant.
Yes, sir. You know, we kind of just openly throw the idea around about Brilliant because that's a place that it could be approved. And yes, they wanted it, but now I don't know if they still want it since I have got a quote. We was all looking at it towards the same type of quote. And I did call the state EMA to make sure that this was eligible. This can be transferred to a town, Brilliant, and they can take over the grant if they would like. But
Did that come up with $30,000?
yes, sir.
Plus they've got to buy the property, Jimmy said, so.
Oh, they didn't have a property. I don't think they would.
Do we need to know on this today, or?
Well, the 15th of October is when all this has got to be turned in, so we're really pushing the clock. With y'all's permission, if y'all would like this to go to Brilliant, offer it to Brilliant, see if they want to pursue this, and if not, just let it die off. Just whatever, this is up to y'all, though. Do y'all want to do this?
I'd like to see if we get it before it goes to bridge. Because they have less than,
In the
But I don't
end,
see
it's
that
gonna
they-
cost somebody.
I don't see that they come up,
Yeah,
they'd have to come up with all the,
Yes, sir.
Let's-
This project will have to be paid for 100%. And
Yeah.
$37,204 is the maximum we will get back. Maximum.
we're not guaranteed to get that back. That's
Yes.
just the maximum.
That, we're up to 37,000. Yes, that's the maximum that they will give us, so.
And the price on it's 65, and that's out without the landscaping and getting it all ready to
That
do.
is correct.
So you could probably easily do another 25, 30,000, plus they may have to buy the land, so. You're looking at close to $100,000, and then you get 37 pay on that 100,000.
The last one that we done, and it was installed in the spring of 2018, if I'm not mistaken. We had done and bid it out early 2017, like, the bid come in at 49,000 for safety shelter. And it was, I'm sorry, 51 or 53,000. I'll have to go back and dig the paperwork up. And everything was pretty much done. All that Mike Shaw's crew had to do was just pull up some concrete, and they come in and done the rest.
In my opinion, we need to offer it to the town of Brea, before we turn it back in and see, and
Is that the majority's opinion on this?
That's fine with me.
and, offer it to them and see what they can come up with.
You might if you can get an answer from them pretty quick if they want it. If there's not, there may be some more small
Yeah.
towns, Ewan, Hackleburg, or somebody, Bear Creek or something like that, they might want to try the same thing.
Well, you said Perry asked you right up front
Yes.
for storm shelter before you ever told him
When I
about
went
it.
in about this hazard mitigation grant, he update, he was asking me how could he get a storm shelter, and that's when I.
But even if they don't want it, and another town does, they've got to qualify for it though, right?
They qualify under the county commission.
Yeah, qualified.
we gotta pay for it.
Yeah.
They got to pay for it.
Yeah.
It can be transferred.
Bear Creek, Hackleburg, if Hamilton, if somebody else wanted it, they could jump on it.
Of course, it wasn't extremely, a lot of preparation. We could help them prepare them.
And that could be used for in-kind work, towards the 25%, but that's still a long,
Yes, sir. So it's gonna cost somebody $25,000-$30,000. Bet you could come out.
yes, sir. Minimum of that. Anything else?
We don't need to vote on that, you can
Yeah.
check with them and see, and this budget, I'm sure we'll have another meeting. If they don't want it, we can put it on, and offer it to somebody else.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes, sir,
Thank you.
thank you. Miss Slatton.
Gentlemen, Sonny Ricefield had come last week and made some recommendations about a jail committee. If y'all had time to think about it, is that something that y'all would like to do and establish if you want it to be a 10 or 15 member committee and appoint those members today? Or is that something that y'all would like to do next week on a special call meeting when we also go over budget stuff in more detail?
Who besides the people we, get out of our, else needs to be on it at large? Does one of the members of the board need to be on it?
At large,
Ma'am?
I said at large, you
Yes.
need to have a representation from the commission, from your representative legislative delegation, from the judicial, and from the sheriff, to be able to sit in so that if the committee had questions in regards to things such as the cost or the operations and procedures of the establishment, what they would need to kind of
Well, what I thought we could probably come up with 5 at large and 2 from each district.
Do, I would, Brooks got a list, I think, of some. I wouldn't have a problem with everybody getting a copy of the list and everybody looking over it and at the next call meeting,
Do that.
go with it, you know.
Well, I've secured one man that I haven't. I've got a little 3 or 4 to ask for a second person.
Well, I've got one that agreed to, and that's about the only one I've had a chance to talk to.
Do y'all want to vote just to create a jail committee and then at the next meeting create those board members after y'all had a chance to discuss with those people individually?
Can we vote today?
You can vote to create a committee
We
today.
can vote to, yeah.
I make that motion.
You know, you said 10 or 15, but if you got 15, I mean, if you got 10, and there's some working different days, different shifts, you may have only 6 or 7 show up at a meeting. So if we got 15, we could get more probably show
Yeah,
up.
you just have to have a
I
quorum.
like what Bob said, I think,
The 5 and 10 is,
I think what Bob said would work, do 2 apiece from each thing, and then as a group, pick out the 5 that we need, wherever they're at, and decide on
Make it
those.
15.
Yeah, make
Well,
it.
she almost named, she named 4, that who would
Yeah.
need to be on the at large.
well,
We can all express it, our opinions on that, and we can come up with 5.
Well, I make that a formal motion.
I'll second that.
all in favor, say aye. Now, your discussion on our budget and what we don't have.
What I wanted to give y'all today and kind of discuss with you, and we're making photocopies of charts right now, is where we were as of September the 11th, and each one of our major accounts. And most of the accounts, if you look at the profit loss at the bottom, when it says profit, the departments don't try to go in and spend that money. It stays in the checking account in case there's an issue and you have to come back later and use that. In some of the areas, you'll see a negative, which would be considered a loss, but it's not an actual loss as in they didn't have the money. It's a loss as in they had to dip into prior year's funds. So when you go through that, everything looked pretty good for the most part. The ones that are highlighted in blue are the ones that had the deficit. But saying that, you also have to look at things. I'm gonna pick on the airport. The airport gets money in from the sale of fuel. The price of that fuel, when it comes in on the credit card, we might not get it till the next month. So when he sells fuel, it might not be reflected in this current year. It might be something that we'll receive next year that will look as a receivable when we close out the year. But also for any deficit that's in the airport, that any grant monies where you have to do match money, that comes from the general fund. Because all match money has to come from the general fund at the airport. Mineral severance, it has a negative amount. That negative amount is this. It's going to be the same way on highway and traffic. Those accounts build. And once they build, every so often, that money is divided up amongst the districts. So they might not disperse them in the year they collect the money. It might be dispersed after it's accrued a good balance, it's a high balance, so that y'all will be able to actually see a benefit from dispersing them. So mineral severance was dispersed this year, but most of the money was accrued in prior years. Now, what I've done, I've gotten everybody's request. I've put it on a spreadsheet. It looks like we're probably going to need to be adding some more requests. That way, y'all can see some of the things that will be hitting the funds before we go in and look at what we need to adjust. I'll explain each one of those in just a second. So on the first request, the position that was left vacant, the salary and benefits there, I've got it split out into 3 columns. Two-way, solid waste, and general fund. The request of the county engineer for the amount that he requested with the benefits tacked onto it, for pay increases, for an asphalt zipper, garbage truck, match for the county road 14, and a tax lane to the hangar for the airport match. You'll see a subtotal where it says total request. That total request and then the impact, if you take the total request, subtract it out from the amount that was said that would be left as an opening, that will show you the negative impact or the positive impact on that fund. So in two-way and general fund, you would have a negative impact. In solid waste, the requests that were made for that department is actually lower than the amount that would be left open. On the Revenue Commission, Barbara requested a $1 raise for all of her employees, and the new computer software system for the tag office is the same thing. I've put down the total. Reappraisal is its own special fund, but the Revenue Commission, she falls under the general fund. So even though it says Revenue Commission right there, that's $70,620. It takes into consideration computer software and salary and benefit increase. That would come out of the general fund. EMA, he asked for a pay increase. That salary increase plus the benefit cost increase to it, that total would be $9,300 total. That comes out of the general fund. Probate judge, she requested 4 chairs at $130 a chair. That's $650. She's got other requests for electronic storage and a large scanner to scan the large books. Those are long-term goals. Those are things that we don't have prices for, but that's in the next few years. She would like to be able to figure out what those would cost and look towards doing that. The sheriff asked for a $1 raise for his employees and a pay increase for himself. That total would be $104,470. That comes out of the general fund. That was his. The appropriations at the bottom, Soil and Water, Regional Library, NACOG, C3, ARC, RC&D, CAC, Extension, Marion County Domestic Violence Task Force, Safe Place. It has the amount they requested, the amount that was paid last year, what that difference is so that you would know what the impact would be to the general fund, and then the total. Soil and Water had asked for an increase, and then Safe Place, we've never paid Safe Place directly. What y'all have always done in prior years is y'all would give money to the Marion County Domestic Violence Task Force, and then any leftover monies from there, we ask that those be sent over to Safe Place. So that's a $12,000, but it would be an impact of a difference of $6,330. So what I did, since the different departments were asking for a raise, and most of them seemed to use the $1, what I did is I created a chart that has the funds that y'all probably look at, counted the number of employees, I did $1, 80 hours of payroll, 26 payrolls, but you have to keep in mind that every now and then we have 27 payrolls, tagged on the benefits, and came up with a total dollar cost for a $1 raise across the board as an omnibus pay bill would be $290,160 to your budget. The next thing And I have.
What are, now, you telling us all these in parentheses is more than last year and what,
That's exactly
and that'll
right.
be over and above our, what we budgeted last year.
Yes. I
And
wanted
we-
y'all to see all of the requests on one sheet of paper. And I want you to see what your revenues were and expenditures were, because on the general fund, I'm gonna use that as an example. Those revenues are not gonna increase unless you pass something that's a revenue generating means just for the general fund.
We're talking about over $500,000 in increase revenues from last year to
The spreadsheets that I'm about to give you, I'll go over those in 2 little seconds. I'll go over the first one now, you guys saw them. On the first page, this is everything that affects the general fund. It has the different departments. You can see the majority of our general fund goes to our sheriff's department. Your miscellaneous government, that's going to primarily be your retirees' health insurance that you pay, your appropriations that you pay that was on the bottom of that second sheet that I gave you. On the county commission budget, it looks large, but I will explain that to y'all. That has the operations of this office and building, but it also has a percentage of all 5 of your salaries and benefits. It also has in it Barney Shackleton's from the solid waste officer is in that as well. The courthouse fund, it takes care of the courthouse and the annex.
do you have any percentages, to what to these ties?
Yes, those will be coming in just a little bit. But also, if you look up at the top, that tells you that the general fund, how much money was spent, transferred out, was over $3 million. On the second sheet, it breaks it down so that you can see how much each one of those slices were. Your general fund courthouse was $181,328.76. You can see how that fund is broken down, the portion of salary, contracted services, gas and oil, cleaning supplies, and so forth. Down the next page, it'll have the portion of the county commission, how much of it's salary and benefits, how much of it is contracted services, legal services, miscellaneous supplies. Then the next thing that y'all are required to do is your circuit court account. That's gonna have, and that's something that we need to talk about for future references, your telephone services for those departments, but then also for court reporters' salaries and benefits that you have to pay a portion of. That's what this is, and you're required to pay those. Kaylin is working on a project right now. We're trying to look towards the future to be able to try to have the internet phones and the internet in the courthouse from full fiber. If we do that, that cuts off our long distance cost, and it also lowers the bill of the telephones. The next page is the probate judge's office. This one's a little bit different because during this time period we were half fee system and half salary system. So this one is going to change dramatically in the next year because we'll have a whole year's worth of data to be able to compare it to, whereas this year we really don't. Revenue Commission budget, you see it. On it, the salaries and benefits look extremely high. But what you have to realize on it is you're paying out your Revenue Commission, you're paying out 5 individuals that work in that office, but you're also paying for 2 supernumerary revenue commissions, tax assessor and collector.
Well, it lasts until they pass.
Yes, So the reason the salary and benefits on that one looks so high is somewhat misleading, but that's paid for supernumeraries. The elections account, on it, the salary benefits on that portion, that's gonna be your board of registers. That's where that comes. It says salary and benefits, y'all pay an amount. There's a revenue that will offset the majority of this, with the exception of $10 per day. And also, depending on if there is or isn't an election, depends on how high that number is gonna be. So to budget for this account, you have to keep in mind, are you gonna have an election that year? Is it a bigger election or a smaller election, and how many, and the likelihood of a runoff? The last thing in your general fund that I've got printed here is your EMA account. And you can see what your salary and benefits are, the different line items that affect it. On this one, if y'all were to do what y'all had discussed on the storm shelter, the $22,000 or more dollars, that would increase this particular account. Okay. That's your general fund. The other ones that I have, these are next I've got the general fund miscellaneous accounts. Now I'll take one of those and pass it down. This is your loan payment for the call centers, your VA telephone, the health insurance that we had talked about, where if you have children that are in juvenile jail or that Tennessee Valley Youth Services subsidiary, you have to pay for that telephone service, the rooms and meals for those people to be there. This also pays for a portion of, but all of your animal pickups. It pays for your appropriations for those different groups that we talked about earlier, but also your operating transfers out to airport whenever they have a downfall or it has match money. The next one I've got for y'all is going to be the sheriff jail funds. This is also inside the general fund. A big portion of this is going to be salaries and benefits. You'll see contracted services, office supplies. But if you refer back to the first page that I handed you, where it had the general fund expenditures were $3.6 million, $2 million of your general fund is going to your sheriff's department to operate your deputies and also to operate your jail. The next thing that I've got for you is going to be your solid waste account. Solid waste account, the expenditures were right at $1 million. On the first sheet, and I did this kind of tricky, you'll see a big portion of that is for construction equipment. But what I've done to kind of give y'all an idea of what happens so that y'all can see how numbers are reflected, just because you got construction equipment this year doesn't mean you're going to get it next year, because you might not need to buy anything. So on the second sheet, I took out the construction equipment so that you could see what the true impact of your salaries, your benefits, and your contracted services and your repairs are. Because even though it's an expenditure and it's there, y'all might not plan on buying something every year for each department. So if I pull out that one big one-time expenditure every so often, you can see more clearly what your actual costs are going to. And that way you can't be misled in the budgeting process. And I did that for all the districts as well. That's District 1. I did the same thing. Second sheet, if you bought equipment, I took it out so that you could see where your actual costs were going. That was District 4. Now District 5 was a little bit different. They didn't purchase any equipment, so they only had one sheet. District 5 will take one second.
You're like mine.
But see what happens when you take that out, how that shows you more in detail where your money's going. The next two that I got, the next I got is the airport one. We put off the bidding for the taxiway construction that is budgeted, not budgeted, but is requested for this year because it was a $30,000 match that would have to come out of the general fund that we didn't have the means for last year. And this last one, I'm really gonna dig into it. What I'm about to give you is a combination of accounts because this affects you, the engineering department, a great deal. And most of the district money comes from gasoline tax. But there's two other funds, secondary road and triple R. And your engineer's office, their revenues come from secondary road and triple R. So to be able to operate that department, they have to have expenditures that are legal expenditures to be able to draw that money down. They can't just draw it down because they have a phone bill. So to operate your road construction in your districts, that's what this first page shows. When I took out the construction, you see more of where the actual costs are. Okay. Now here's where my fun stuff comes in. On-road construction, triple R, secondary. On those papers, the way the accounting works in the office and what you're supposed to do, triple R and secondary road would see the drawdown as an expenditure. Road construction would see it as an offsetting expenditure. So road construction's expenditures, they're $10 and they drew down $7. That $10 is going to look like $3 on their expenditure report. So what I did is I went back in and I took out all of the offsetting revenues. So when I took off all of the offsetting expenditures and the portion of the revenues that come in to offset the county engineer's salary and assistant engineer's salary, total revenue in triple R and secondary road were $1.1 million. When you each did $100,000 worth of drawdowns for $500,000 expense, and the actual expenditures of the engineer's office, we took into reserves $156,034.46. So it says a deficit, but we're really using prior year's revenue. And you need to keep in mind that we have one more payroll next week and bills that we have to pay that we will pay through the middle of October. That will be attributed to the fiscal year we're in now. What I would like to do is I would like to, this week, the rest of this week, tomorrow, add onto my spreadsheet, have your current year's budget numbers there, have where we're at updated, have everybody's full requests so y'all can see what those full requests would actually cost the county if everybody got everything that they wanted. But also show realistically what you can and can't do. Create a list of things that are costing y'all money and let y'all review those and look at those. And if they're not needed, the five of you decide that, then come up with a way or means of cutting those costs out if y'all choose to. And I did not submit a request for our office. I want to make sure that I stated that.
When you get through with the other work you're talking about, we'll have a lot better,
You'll have a very clear vision.
yeah.
If
When are
y'all,
you gonna have it available? I mean, when do you wanna do it?
I want to work on it this afternoon and tomorrow. I did all of this when I took off last week with jump walker when he had strep. My plan is hopefully by the time I leave here on Friday, or I may have to come in and work over the weekend, I would like to have something concreted down by Sunday night. If y'all could do a special call, y'all are all gonna be in town Tuesday anyway. If we could do something for Tuesday and do it before y'all have to go to the drug awareness, y'all would all be here. But I'm not sure what the plans are for next week.
We're running short on time, so I think the quicker the better.
Yeah, and Tuesday would be fine with me.
We can look at this all weekend and then kind of try to figure it and go through and first of next week, if you have it done, to show us what, you know, what the tallies are, break it down.
What would I do? Also, I don't have what our health insurance premiums are going to. But that's something that we're gonna have to look at because individuals that have family coverage, they're getting more of a benefit than those individuals who do not have family coverage. Because the commission always wanted to try to cover that gap, and last year they went up on the family coverage. But your health insurance cost, the bill itself, is $72,000 a month for health insurance. Now, a portion of that, the employee does pay when they have family coverage, but the rest of it is coming out of each fund that that individual is working off. not bring that spreadsheet in here because I didn't have the new cost. But I do have a spreadsheet that discusses the last time raises were done, when y'all done the one-time cost benefit, where y'all given X amount of dollars per year to people as a group, the entire county employees that. And I have a breakdown of how the health insurance premiums have gone up over the past 14 years. And I'll supply that with you as well next week.
Which is a large percentage.
How long has it been since we checked on some of the insurance, or bid those insurance off?
Well, your insurance goes through the state of Alabama. Local government health insurance is the same insurance that the state has. We haven't bid it off because if the county cancels that contract, there's a time period where you can't get Blue Cross Blue Shield, and your major cover provider in this area is Blue Cross Blue Shield. Some counties have looked at passing the cost of the insurance onto the employee and letting the employee choose if they want to get health insurance someplace else. But what's been seen happening is, I'll just use myself for example. They say, okay, I don't want the county to provide me with health insurance because I can get family insurance someplace else cheaper. I can go through Blue Advantage. And they do that for a time period. And then open enrollment comes in and you've increased my pay. And then I sign up for open enrollment and I say I want the county to now pick up my health insurance. And I've received the pay increase. And now I've come back and I want the county to pay for my health insurance. And I've manipulated a system in which I get more. So that's the thing that you have to worry about if you do a increase someplace to offset the insurance.
Have any more questions, comments? We'll have an ACOG meeting the 26th. That's on Thursday.
Did y'all want to vote on what day y'all wanted to have a special call?
Yep.
Say Tuesday.
Yeah.
If you do fine with me, I reckon I ain't checked, but she can set us out a thing, maybe.
Make a motion, to have a special call meeting at 9 o'clock Tuesday morning, the 24th.
I'll make the motion.
Have a motion, have a second. All in favor, say aye. If nothing else,
The 24th, that's Tuesday,
yes, sir.
9 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
What time was Jimmy saying?
2.
Two.
Okay.
And that's only 5 o'clock at night, so that's pretty much all day.
And I'll have budget and I will have jail committee. You'll vote on that.
All right.
Tuesday.
Anything else? Have a motion to adjourn,
I'll make that motion.
have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel at www.youtube.com/49 County News TV.